need this fight for anything other than those crucial 4 points. He has such a good loadout, has good mats, has good meds, launch pad. It's just the 4 points he wants to get off Stacky because he knows he's cracked him.
Yeah, and Nut's an aggressive player. He's gotten most of his points, I believe, off of eliminations. He's no stranger to really pushing forward. He did this back in the World Cup days as well. Had a ton of success when switching over to the kind of mobile and console track, but is no stranger to playing on PC and with the big boys as well as he takes down Stacky there. Really well done. And while we do talk about kind of the Slurpee Swamp and the Storm normally putting pressure on you, the Swamp kind of negates that a little bit because you do have those healing pools that you can just box up in and get the innate shield back if you do wait. However, because everyone else is going to be thinking the same thing, this is where it gets to be a little more dangerous because he was on the outside. NA East has a tendency to, I don't want to say over-rotate early, but pretty much everyone rotates early. So if you're somebody who decides to go late and everyone else is already in the zone, odds are good they're not going to be fighting the people who are in the zone, as we see in this example. Nut versus the world in a veritable D-Day situation here, trying to storm the beaches of Normandy.
No, yeah, I don't think he's going to go too well with that. He had the heavy sniper in hand. I thought that might apply a little bit of pressure. That can maybe, you've got that one shot. You either got to hit it or you've got to scare the opponent looking at you. But if you've got 3 eyes on you, you don't have 3 heavy snipers. But still kind of in this one, we counted him out a little bit early. He's trying to find his way in. 65 builds left and he is eating through them. So maybe that last fight, the 4 points he gained, proving to be worse off because of it, because he rotated late, but he somehow makes his way through all of this. Almost 14-12. It's a 2-tick zone. He needs to stay ahead of it. He's found his way in, but bit of lobby manipulation here with a minigun trying to get in. He knows how hurt he is. He knows he's an absolute shambles, and there it is. Hornet coming through. Yeah, Nuts' only chance there was a big pump, but doesn't have time to get it off. And yeah, you called it.
Super unfortunate. I mean, we've seen how, like, that's his gameplay. You've got to stick to it, but then he burns all his materials, all his floppers, absolutely everything on the edge of zone. It's so, Aussie. Look at where the zone's pulling.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to go Rig. I mean, as much as I don't like it for the players, I love it for the spectator, man. Rig, there's just the cinematic shots you get. There's just something about it. The Rig being broken apart, falling apart in the ocean. These players trying to salvage something from their tournament. It's going to be an interesting endgame here. We tune in with Zate, who had a great start today. Last couple games, not so much, but still 154 points. He's up there. And these kind of zones are going to play into the hands of those players like Zate, who are incredibly smart, because as much as these guys practice day in, day out, the Rig zone, it's a weird one, and I don't think it's practiced too often, so no launch pad here. Zate has to find his way onto that Rig, and he's being held, as we just saw happen to Nut a little bit ago. Can he maybe try and avoid the same fate?
And he is in the zone, and this is one of the key things, and I think it's something that some of the higher-end competitive players who don't do enough with the water zones, just tarp and be right below it. Be on the level where everyone else is swimming, but block your head off. It's incredibly hard to get Faze back above it. You use less mats than if you were just tunneling out and below, and then you're in a position where if you do have to rotate out and above, as long as you've tarped out wide enough, you can always cover yourself in your top. But Neon right now is being chosen by the rest of the lobby. Zate just on the edge here, trying to get a piece of that action. Commandant takes down Azures. White tags coming through. More explodes on Neon. That is the first place contender, the one who has upstart and surprised everyone, is dead in the center, trying to get over to that group right now. We can see everyone pinching in slowly towards the edge of the Rig, where this 50-50 zone is going to determine so much, because if we pull out over the water, it is going to be absolute mayhem for these players. It is going to test all of their ability to utilize every single one of their resources and whatever else drops, as Clicks also takes down 2xe. Saf goes down the feed to Polarize, and we're closing in on our top 50. Zate trying to get these materials. No, he needs every single little bit.
Neon's
but it was
still
Neon
alive?
who yoinked it away from him. The little Luke Goblin says, nope, those are mine. See you later. And this, it's so huge having materials, particularly in this zone. That little run and that little rotation could be such a huge...
It stays on land, so that we get a bit of respite, but that doesn't mean the rotating zones won't go back out towards the Rig. So people like Neon, who I have to think just burned through a lot of mass, despite goblining up the rest of it, this is still going to be a very tough zone. Those players on the Rig, they hedged their bets, and unfortunately it went against them, but we're seeing them make their rotate a lot easier than I imagine all these players would have had to try and get onto the Rig. But again, this could still have rotating zones to go. They can go back out across the water, so any of those players who have those launch pads, we see if Neon got a nice mat refresh, you're going to need them. This is not the game to find yourself in shambles, because shambles is not going to work here.
50 players remaining. That second placement threshold just going over. One player, one cone away. Both Zayt and him doing a little Mr. Savage. This is so tense, and as soon as it pops, everyone's going to have to move. Everyone waiting for a launch pad, but Zayt has the 4 floppers, so he can wait. Unknown picks up Shaz. First player rotates out Zayt, seeing if there's a pop there as we catch up a little bit. Frat picks up Spicy. Neon goes down. Neon goes down outside of the top 40. Anybody can swing back up as Zayt picks up a huge elimination there and another stack of floppers. He's saying, nope, we're playing in the Storm and I'm getting some sushi. Storm going down there as Zayt is going to have plenty of time here to just kind of wait it out and get his choice. There is somebody else hawking him, trying to figure out exactly how many floppers he has to play with right now. As he will now hit the launch pad and come through. AR shots around the side. Zayt hugging the walls, trying to find a little bit of space, and he lands in right next to Booga, underneath Clicks and young Calc for the best veteran players in NA East, all stacked up in the middle of the zone here.
And Furious is in this one as well, so we have a few players in the top 5, and Zayt just makes it in. Absolutely beautiful cinematic shot. We got to follow him behind the shoulder, watching him fly in for that one. He just makes it, but the sushi has run out. He's gone through all his fish, still has some minis, still has that legendary pump, more than enough for someone of Zayt's caliber to work with, but he's going to have to make it big as Zone goes back south, eventually hits a bit of the water, but it still does stay on land, so unless it goes further south again, these players might not be having to deal with one of the more difficult zones that can happen, but with this caliber of players, 37 alive, game 11, the second last game to crown a solo FNCS champion. This is the best of the best. It doesn't matter, difficult zone, easy zone. It is not going to be easy to close this one out as we hear the launch pads going off. Zayt just survived his last experience on the launch pad, maybe thinking better of it, just wanting to rotate along this edge, but getting beamed up. This is going to be his last mez. He's down to nothing. 53 builds and plays inside his box, pulls the pump out, but he goes down, gets taken out by Avery. Commandment's still in here, just falls shy of that 30 as Jark is on the high ground. Kanata is still in this, Bizzle is still in this, Furious is still in this. We've got so many players up there who can still take out and jump up into first.
And now you see Roller on the front side of the zone, fired, shooting back across it. We're going to hop on board here with Furious, a player who was in 4th going into this match as he picks up another elimination there. Zum going down. He is on the low ground, which means action is going to be happening all around him. You can see him desperately trying to make sure that heavy sniper is reloaded for a push. Has a solid amount of mats here going into the end game as Hornet drops Bizzle just inside of the top 20. Furious making sure everything is reloaded. 66 mats, huge one pump onto Ab as he's dropping around the side. Does need to make sure he covers himself there. Furious. 7 HP flopper goes off just in time. 37 HP. He has 3 more. Does he go for the shot or the flopper? Will eat another one as the player across from him is getting the backup with the zone. You see Calc down to Booga in the zone. Furious on the backside. You lost track of him, Frice. You knew he was there as Furious picks up its 4th elimination, and now he's running through on the tarp. Has plenty of mats. Again, we talk about it as we're moving back over the swamps and the water. You want these materials. Comment on going down in 11th as we close in on the top 10, but it's all on Furious.
It is. Furious has jumped ahead of this one. Kanata went down in the feed, which means this is Furious' chance to jump up. We've lost all those players in the top 5. I believe it is just down to Furious now to try and close this one out. SF Rollo had a crazy run yesterday as Furious gets Sis lucky. He might break the 200 points here. 192 points. 5 players alive. Has the loadout to finish this one out. Has no builds left. Has to drop down. Goes toe-to-toe. And we know how good Furious is toe-to-toe. Takes down Spark. This is a 6th elimination run here. There's only 3 opponents to deal with. 2 opponents to deal with. Furious gets the mat refresh now. It's a 1v1v1. He's losing out on his mats though. He's being sprayed from high ground and low ground. He's getting focused. Only has the 1 flopper. Needs to close this one out. SF Roller in front of him. Furious versus Roller. 1st and 2nd from the reboot round. The 2 reboot stories. They almost come through. Furious goes down 2nd, but 210 points. Furious had a massive performance.
Huge from Furious there. Roller, the week 2 winner, rounding it out in 3rd, and then Jacques from the high ground taking the victory royale. Furious really kind of putting the pedal to the metal there, claiming the eliminations and the